Actually,
and I give you five. What are you doing? Why is I live when I'm not ready?
You know, just in case, I know you're a world star now, but you know, becoming a world star and conquering India and the subcontinent, like you said, on your
My
tweet,
Bharat. My Bharat.
your Bharat and my Bharat as well.
Asim.
No, let me finish.
Asim.
It's an intro.
Asim.
he's about to pick you up here, Avi. Let him finish.
Asim, Humara Desh, Tumara Desh. You know. Ben, basically,
this is what I mean.
My people of India are the people of Asim's India too. There you go.
Right.
Look,
Okay.
yeah, Ben, he's just playing politics now. He's just playing politics.
He's always playing something.
He's always playing something. But you know, he's become a world star now. I was at work. I was at work today, man. Did you see his tweet? I retweeted him. When I retweeted, their views doubled. But here we are. I'm here all to support our brothers. But you know what? I thought we lost him. We've been trying to get rid of him for the last. Even if we try to get rid of Avi, we can't. But joking aside, it was really good to see our brothers on a different show. I would love to come on, and we would love to get Rav and big up. Avi, what's his channel called? I should know.
It's
Adda with Rav or something.
Addy with the Ravindra. We'll plug it. We'll plug it.
We'll plug it. We'll add it. We'll get the admin to put it on. He's a guy from India. I think is he like a physio? Or
he's from Bangalore. He's a sports trainer. He's been a massive, avid supporter of the channel from day one, Asim. From the days when, you know, we just mentioned it backstage when we used to have, 15, 20 when we first launched live watching. And he watches every show religiously. He was a big fan of mine, but not so much anymore. You are his number one because you break down the game properly. He's a big fan of the Born and Red.
Now I like Ravinda. You know what that means? You know what that means?
No, go on. Share the love.
Adda, what's the exact translation? My Adda. My
A-double-D-A.
Like my base. Your Adda. Your base.
Right,
Adda means that's what it means in our
home almost. At home with Ravinda.
Yes, it means at home as well. At home with Ravinda. Adda. This is what I mean. I have to teach him Punjabi. He calls himself a Punjabi. You call yourself a Punjabi?
By the way.
This is what happens when you spend time in
Kalabar. I'm a Nango. I'm young.
Chutty.
Okay, here he comes, Endo, our very own Endo. But good to see the mood has changed. A week in football is a very, very long time. A week ago, some people were calling Slot out. Some people were calling Bradley a championship player. Some people were calling McAllister to go get shipped to Real Madrid in January. All sorts. It was all sorts. And we at BNR, many of us, I probably leave Ben probably admits himself that he's a more of a half glass full, half empty type of guy, but he's here to provide. Many people say he's the voice of reason, and rightly so. And the beautiful game, is full of opinions, and there were many opinions flying around in the Liverpool space last week. But times have changed only in a week, and the mood has lifted. Are we Liverpool back, or are we treating this week where it's been good, but plenty of caution as well?
I was watching the press conference just literally before I came on. Obviously, I did a show with Ravi in the morning at 7:30 my time, so didn't get a chance to watch Slot's presser. He did say something it wasn't alarming. It just said, you don't need to keep saying that now. He did say something like the teams that we've played against, like Villa and Real Madrid, they're very much on the deck, like to play football, very progressive. They're not very long ball. He needs to sort of navigate himself away from that, because we're not going to play every team that's going to play pretty football like us and will want to go on the deck. There are teams, and effectively it works for them. The Brentford, that's why they are in the Premier League, because they have a consistent style of play. People call it an ugly style, but it's a style of play. Arsenal have a style of football, and Arteta has a vision of the way he wants his team to play. And they're top of the league. I don't like that football, but it is what it is. Slot needs to start because the next time we come across a team that plays long balls and They're winning the second balls, and they were a bit tough on our players. And if we lose that, then it makes me question, like, Slot, what have you done to fix this issue? So there's a little bit in this press conference. Are Liverpool back? Listen, anyone that beats Real Madrid, a Xabi Alonso flying high Real Madrid, this ain't the Real Madrid of last season. I want to get away from that. That Ancelotti team wasn't the team that it was before when it won the European Cup and League.
Yeah.
We were struggling last season. This Real Madrid team is well drilled. He's got the likes of Vinicius and Mbappe doing the hard yards and, covering grass. In previous seasons, they haven't. They are lazy forwards, you can say. So we beat a very, very good Real Madrid team, a team which is full of stars and Galacticos in their own right. Are we back? Yes, I would say we are, Asim. And, we know their style of play. We know Haaland. They've gone with a very direct approach. And that could be a Pep Linda's sort of slight sort of adjustment that he made coming in as an assistant to Pep. But no, we are back, and I'm actually really, really confident going into Sunday. I really do.
Ben, I'm gonna throw the same question at you, Ben. Are Liverpool back?
Had they ever gone in the first place?
I was just about to say that. But I kind of
down to me, ever the optimist, we were never gone in the first place. We were just having a bit of a lull, should we say? No, tongue in cheek. We obviously, it's a huge couple of victories this week. I think Villa was in the balance for the first 20 minutes, and we took control and we got the result in the end, and that was a great performance. But our argument that Villa played into our hands a little bit, but Real Madrid was a real test, and they're a proper team. Real Madrid, and I think Rooney actually, funnily enough, when he wasn't getting bullied by Van Dijk after the game, he did make some really good comments that when you do come to Anfield, it can be a bit of a strange aura for opposition teams, and they can get lulled into a bit of a strange way of playing. And I think he did see that. To be honest, I think Real Madrid played, not quite the level that they normally play at. But at the same time, Liverpool played really, really well. They found that it was nip and tuck for the first 20 minutes, half an hour. But I think once we took control, I think we genuinely did take control. And if it wasn't for a series of, I wouldn't say world-class saves from Courtois, but really, really good saves from Courtois, I think we deserved to win that game probably more than 1-0. And I think the confidence that sort of performance gives you means that Sunday is now absolutely massive.
Ben, are you surprised? Are you surprised the way that not Real Madrid as such, but more Aston Villa, that we were coming up from 4 league defeats in a row, and they just tried to play football against us all the time, including from Arne Slot has been about long balls, second balls, set pieces. And I didn't expect Aston Villa to become Brentford all of a sudden, but they were really persistent in trying to play that ball out. And, Kamara and Onana are really good footballers, but they just kept on doing it, especially when after 15 minutes, when Slot made that change and let Sobo unleash on them, they just kept on trying. And the first goal, as we know, came through them losing the ball in no man's land as well. Are you surprised the way that they tried to play against us?
I wouldn't say I'm surprised, because Emery and Alonso are very much football purists, and they believe in what they believe in, and they believe in their own systems. And let's have it right. If Villa turned up to Anfield and just started to go long and go play for the throw-ins, they don't really have the style of players and the weapons to be able to use those things against us. They've got to back their own methodology, and they've got to back their own style and say, listen, we can go toe to toe. Like, don't get me wrong, Villa were coming into the Liverpool game 4 wins out of 4 in great form, thinking, well, this is a Liverpool team who are nowhere near their best, so let's take them on. I think that was probably the what they expected to do, and same for Real Madrid. But the reality is, Liverpool, it helped them without a shadow of a doubt. It helped them to play against a team that suits our style, and to match up against a team. And Slot mentioned it again in the press conference today, saying that he enjoyed the idea, or he appreciated in a way the idea that he was coming up against a team that wants to play football. and that really suited him. Now, I think that if we hit a bit of form now and start playing really well, and we come up against another grok team, should we say, in another few weeks' time, then we might be in a better frame of mind and more confident to just knock it round them and get the goals and get the results. It's not like we're incapable of playing a physical team, because we came up against a lot of physical teams last season. We found a way to win. So I just think in the current run of form that we were in, it just didn't really suit us to come up against those style of play. That didn't really suit us at all. But United, for example, you know, they played quite direct, but I still think we were the better team overall and deserved to win. It's just the way it just didn't go. Like he mentioned that again today, Slot. He said he actually preferred the performance against United than he did against Villa because we created more chances.
Do you agree with that?
I think the performance overall was better against Villa because we were more controlled. But the great comment that he did make is that we weren't chasing the game at any point. And it's a lot easier to control a game when you're not chasing it. Whereas when you are 1-0 down and then 2-1 down, you have to go and take risks, and you have to chase the game, and you have to, you know, sacrifice your formation and your structure to go and try. And that you can never ever throw that at Slot, is that he never ever accepts a draw. Sometimes he should probably, but he never accepts a defeat and he never accepts a draw. He'll always go and chase a result. He'll always try and make positive substitutions to chase a result. And obviously those results in the last few weeks have gone against us. But, you know, I thought we were excellent against Real Madrid, you know, really, really good. And they are a serious side. So that should give us real good confidence. And funnily enough, City on Sunday, they're definitely not going to turn into long ball merchants or long throw merchants. They're going to try and outplay us in their style because that's Pep at his purest. So I think we've got a really good chance.
You never know with Pep these days, Ben.
You know. But I'll be very surprised if Rico Lewis starts chucking in bombs like from the what's called from the wing. But yeah, I think Sunday is a fascinating game in the fact that Haaland is virtually unstoppable, and you'd almost think to yourself, if he gets one or two chances, he will score. But I think the way that we're playing, we're creating a lot of chances, so it could be a really exciting game. And I think if we win on Sunday, if we win on Sunday, then the fixtures that we've got after the international break, it makes it really, really exciting going into Christmas.
It makes it exciting. Avi, I want to ask you, and I want to discuss a bit about, I know we discussed it post-match after Real Madrid. I want to discuss Florian Wirtz because I think it's only right, because Ben has been calling him on the left-hand side on paper or since we brought him in. After sort of sleeping on the Real Madrid performance, after seeing Florian Wirtz come inside, float around, give him the freedom of the pitch and do his stuff and look good and be involved, where are you with the debate of Florian Wirtz? Are you long-term that he needs to be in our number 10? Or are you saying, you know what, with the circumstances of things that are going in the back line, things going at the front, the Szoboszlai conundrum, the Mohamed Salah conundrum, that, you know what, right now, this is probably the best way to get him into the team, especially when you consider, yes, the stats might look all right for Gakpo, but the overall performances, like a lot of players in the team this season, haven't been great. And then the drop-off in terms of a level and experience as well from Gakpo to Rio is another issue. So all these things combined, is this the best way for Florian Wirtz to make his way into the team, at least for the short term?
I think you have to say yes. Look, McAllister has come back into form in the last two games. A lot more to come. Let's not get too carried away. But you know, the last two games, McAllister has been very good. Obviously, gets the winner and supplies the assist for Gravenberch against Villa. So, Szoboszlai, we know the season that he's having an exceptional season. And then Gravenberch, I think right now his best position, Florian Wirtz, is off that left until we get a sit-in six. And I keep alluding to it. To get the best out of him, you need literally maybe two sitters in that six. Gravenberch doesn't want us to be in that six forever. And we've seen games where he's still trying to be progressive. He's still trying to carry the ball. Szoboszlai is the same. McAllister is the same. You need a sitter in there if you want to play Florian Wirtz in the 10. Because you're leaving spaces still in that position. Florian Wirtz, essentially what you want to do as him as a 10 is give him that free roll. But he can have that free roll off the left. But like we've seen against Real Madrid, he's going to have to do a lot of defending too. And we saw that he ran 13 kilometers. He ran the most on against any player on that pitch on Wednesday night. So he can definitely do.
Well, Szoboszlai has always been a runner, even from the number 10 position.
Szoboszlai has, but is he?
Not Szoboszlai, Florian Wirtz, sorry.
Florian Wirtz, but off the left, Asim, you get an extra body in that midfield three. Having that extra body in the midfield three helps a lot. If you only have two, and those two that are not naturally sixes, then you're all over the shop. And we've seen that. We have been all over the shop when Florian Wirtz has been in that 10. Now, this ain't his fault. There are adjustments to make. And obviously, players have been out of form. Like, the likes of Gravenberch was suspended or injured. Szoboszlai has been this running marathon man who's been right back in central midfield. McAllister has been desperately out of form. Salah, Ekitike, who had a good start this season. Now he's finding his feet a little bit more. The fullbacks haven't helped Florian Wirtz's case. So there's a lot of components to why Florian Wirtz hasn't shined as a 10. But for me, and I keep alluding to it, at Leverkusen, he had two dog eaters, basically, Andrich and Xhaka. Now, Xhaka was a little bit progressive, but he's always like hitting those balls. Like, he's a great passer of the ball. And the season that he's had at Sunderland so far has been nothing short of brilliance as well. So he's had two of those, and then he had Wirtz, and then he had Grimaldo and Frimpong, and the three of them were devastating. Whether it was Boniface or Patrick Schick up top, it didn't matter because those three were just so effective in that season that they had under Xabi Alonso. For the foreseeable until next season, because I don't think we'll get a 6. And I'm telling you now,
my question to you, Avi, I was going to put it to Ben and let him come in, but when you say you need two sitters for Florian Wirtz, I see in theory what you're trying to tell me. So you give him the protection.
But then to have that as well.
It
is. To do that
case, and this is the reason why I didn't want for Liverpool to go when the likes of Hendo, Fabinho, all lost their legs and we got rid of them and replaced them in that summer with Szoboszlai and these guys. I didn't want the likes of Palhinha at Liverpool. I didn't want the likes of Ugarte because these guys are sitters. They're destroyers. But we're not Palace. We're not any.
They wouldn't be my type of sixes either. By the way, they wouldn't be my type of sixes either.
But Avi, we need sitters, but we need also technicians as well.
Yes, we do. Adam Wharton. Adam Wharton would be a great asset.
Okay,
I'll tell you why I say Adam Wharton as well. I've always felt every great team needs always a left-footed midfielder in that midfield three, whether it's a 4-4-2 or a 4-3-3 in the modern game. You always need a cultured left footer. We've seen Fabian Ruiz with the Spanish national team and PSG, and I'll always go to that example because I think he's a special footballer. Adam Wharton, he's a 6. He's a disciplined 6, but he can go when he needs to. And I think he has the intelligence in every set time of the game when to go and when not to. I think he's got that much intelligence for a young man already. And he's got a great left peg on him. I think he would be a great help. Him alone could be sufficient because then you've got either a Szoboszlai, a Gravenberch, or a McAllister for a Wirtz. That's what I think. But I think your wingers as well, for to get the best out of Wirtz, you need your wingers to do. You need to get a world-class winger too. Camavinga is another example too.
Refs in the house looking for something free again. Surprise, surprise. Nice to see him in. Ben, you've been an advocate for Florian Wirtz. Doesn't matter if we've got two sitters or not. You want him on the left-hand side because you want him inside. You want him to be the focal point on the ball, but coming inside from the left hand. And it also brings out the best out of our left back. We've talked about the balance. We've talked about the extra responsibility he puts on the left back. But you must have been really happy after Florian Wirtz's performance on Tuesday night.
Unbelievable, yeah, unbelievable. And I do think there's definitely scope. Ben,
1 minute. Before you go, you know what? You're a bit of a rat. Yeah, you're like Trent Alexander-Arnold.
We talking to me or Ben?
Look how he nonchalantly just said, Ben, you've been saying about Wirtz. He's been saying it for a long time. And Ben, I'm giving you your flowers because a lot of people on this channel, like myself, like this Toadfish, I call him now. That's his new name, Toadfish Hussein. Oh, Mahmood, Toadfish Mahmood, yeah?
Pointing the wrong way.
We shut you down.
Left.
We shot you down on that because we thought, how the hell is Florian Wirtz was brought as a 10. He has to be trained. And I had a aggressive tone when I was shutting you down, Ben. But you know what? Kudos to you and flowers to you, Ben. Big up, Ben. There you go.
No, it's one of them, isn't it?
Let him finish. Have some manners and let him finish.
You interjected.
Go on. You go on.
Before you go,
spit
Ben.
It out. Come on, both of you, spit it out.
Between me and you, Avi, is I don't judge a game. And in the same, if you want to discuss Conor Bradley, I'm over the moon.
Oh, let's not go to Conor Bradley just yet.
I'm over the moon to see Conor Bradley perform on Tuesday night because it's for the betterment of Liverpool. But am I going to change my opinion overnight on Conor Bradley in terms of his fitness and in terms of his overall quality? I told you on Tuesday night after the match that the way he performed is no surprise to me because he's done it before on these big nights. But I don't judge a player just on one performance. But you do. And in the same way, Florian Wirtz, I wrote it got 1.4 million impressions on Twitter, by the way. I wrote something in June, and I don't go by hindsight, and I said, I clipped a part of that thread last week, but I said, I don't mind to see Florian Wirtz from the left, but it has to be on the big day when we need an extra man. So the Aston Villa game away from home last season, away to Manchester City, and that's why I think Florian Wirtz will go and pick this team later on. I think Florian Wirtz will play from the left. I don't mind to see it when we want an extra body, because what you talk about is we don't have the natural physicality, the natural destroyers in McAllister, and obviously he's just picking up a bit of form in the last two fixtures. When you don't have the natural physicality, especially in the left back and right back, and then in the midfield, then you have to make it up with an extra body and to engineer control by keeping the ball. Like Arsenal got a lot more size on us, got a lot more physical power and running power in midfield and all over the pitch. But how do we make that up on big days? Is by playing an extra midfielder and try to keep the ball. You can't be hurt with a set piece or a second ball if you just keep the ball. And that's why I think Florian Wirtz should play. So I was never against the idea on one-off occasions. What you have to say is, I never ruled it out. Well, you just jumped the gun.
No, keep that.
You go pagal.
No, keep that to your substackers, okay? Ben, carry on.
See what I mean? You can't engage. Anyway, sorry.
No, I'm what's called. My thought process is, I think that long term, clearly Wirtz has got the potential and the ability to play in a midfield three, and then you'd have three more natural attackers.
Yeah.
But it's been clear to see that the physicality of the Premier League is a huge thing for Wirtz, and that's just the way it goes sometimes. So by getting him closer to the goal, because he's been coming very deep as well in games, which is not really what you want to see. You want to see him in and around the 18-yard box. And I think Slot said it again today. They were like, oh, don't be so fast. Don't be so don't be so hard up on a position, a fixed position. Fixated, that's the word, Avi. Well done. Don't be so fixated on a position, because he floats. Because that first chance he created against Real Madrid, when he nudged Huijsen off the ball, he was on the right wing. So it's almost like going back to an old style McManaman free roll, where he may start on paper on the left, but if he's floating all over the place and it's difficult to pick up, then great. I just want someone of his talent and his ability to be in and around the box. And you say, like, for the big day, it works, but then why can't the big day be all of the days? Because he can have, I think he can have as much output as Gakpo.
No, I don't believe that. Because for me, the big day, if you look at the stats, you look at the style Liverpool played against Real Madrid, we were on them like, ants on shit. And you could argue we were playing at Anfield, but our style...
Flies on shit.
Flies on shit, ants on shit. Sorry about that.
Come on, fixated.
You didn't know that.
Carry on.
You didn't know that.
No, Solis flies on shit.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry.
Sorry.
He's from Bradford, Ben. Bless him.
We all teach each other words. We all teach each other words on this show. Go on, carry on.
What I was saying is, you could argue we played the Real Madrid game, even though we created a lot of chances. It was a bit of a away performance, Ben. When you look at the possession, when we look at how we smothered them in midfield, we tried to win the second balls, and we bypassed their really aggressive press, and they had more possession, but we had the turnover in possession. So you could argue, even though we were Anfield, we played that game a bit like an away fixture. But
Yeah,
In a,
but then they are a very,
when you
very good
come up
team, aren't
against,
they?
well, of course, and I'm not blaming Liverpool. I'm actually glad that we made the adjustments where for the last 3-4 weeks we've been just going with plan A, thinking it's going to work, and I've been crucifying the manager. Why are you talking about? What did I tweet about a month ago saying? Why are you talking about that we're only losing because that moment of magic? Remember the manager it's called about
Yeah,
and talked
yeah,
about a moment of magic, and I said no,
yeah. Or a
control the
set
game
piece.
first. Control the game, earn the right to play, and then let your quality shine through. And that's what he's doing, making the tweaks, having a bit of respect to the opposition who you're playing. Don't just always think you've got Isaac and Ekatike. And we've been talking about it's probably instilled in bit of it in the players as well in terms of mindset. That if you're Ekatike, if you're Isak, if you're Salah, that you know what? If I don't turn up, Isak will. But that is the last type of mentality that you need, especially in this league, where if the moment you drop off an ounce or a percentage, teams are just too good to take advantage of that. But going back to Wirtz on the left is, for me, the big day for Real Madrid, Manchester City, but at home against Palace, when you've got 5 at the back and Wirtz is floating around in midfield, I don't want that, because you need to stretch the opposition. You need to stretch that back line. And when you've got on 8 out of 10 times, when you're faced with a 5 at the back, you need a proper touchline winger to stretch the opposition, Ben. And then you need to Wirtz from the number 10 position and feed the winger, because that is the only place where you're going to create isolation. So
but
I
then my caveat.
Okay, carry on.
No, I was just going to say my caveat with that is when the chips are down and when you're not playing to your best, I'm a big believer in just getting your best players on the pitch. And for me, obviously the big catalyst in all this is McAllister suddenly deciding that he's a real footballer again. And when he's at his best, he's in the starting 11. Like he hasn't been at his best at all this season. But if he's anywhere near his best, he starts. And Gravenberch starts, and Szoboszlai's been our player of the season. So it's like, where you've got to find a position for Wirtz if those 3 are being picked. And I just think to myself, I know we say we look at rotation and we look at there's never, but generally speaking, if you need to find the team for the Champions League final tomorrow, like I'm saying it right now, that it's Wirtz on the left and it's Isak through the middle and it's Salah on the right, and it's that 3 midfield and it's that back 4. That's the team that I'm starting, and you've got to build some sort of consistency. Like I think Arteta could pick his best 11 tomorrow, and that's that. And I think, funnily enough, Pep probably couldn't, and he doesn't have a best 11, and that might be half of their problem. But I think we do.
Well, Ben, you're telling me just before. Sorry, Avi, I know I'm doing a lot of talking on this subject, but you're just saying if you want to pick a Champions League 11, in most cases in a Champions League final 11, you're going to face a Real Madrid. You're going to face a Bayern Munich. So Wirtz works because they've got an attacking right back that wants to go and attack, in the other side of the pitch as well. So Wirtz, either if he's inside, he'll still have a really big impact because he's a focal point, and we'll have the advantage of them vacating space via their right back for our left back or left midfielder to take advantage of that as well. But I'm talking about Wirtz on a week in, week out option. If we're, especially at Anfield, 8 out of 10 times since the back end of last season, teams either are really aggressive or completely sit off us. And when they do sit off us, you could argue at the back end of last season, that is the reason why we bought Wirtz. When you see the manager talk about Florian Wirtz since we bought him in, he's been talking about how to unlock those low blocks. And that's the reason why he was brought in. I don't think the plan was to him to unlock, even though he floats and he doesn't play as a Gakpo, he doesn't play as a Doku or a Diaz type of role. I know he plays effectively the left half space or a complete freedom type of role, even from LW left wing on paper. But 8 out of 10 times, we have to make sure we've got a winger taking on players. And at the moment, we don't have that. I get that he might get more opportunities in that position is because of Gakpo's level and form,
and that's the key for me. That's the key. Gakpo is not, and we've all agreed, If Diaz was still in the team or still at the club, then you would say that he would probably be the naturally better first choice. But Gakpo, if Gakpo's output is not what it should be, and it hasn't been in the last, even though he's getting a goal here and there, I think we all agree that his overall performance, like it's no point having a wide left winger who stretches the pitch, but every time he gets his player one-on-one, he's like he's not picking someone out, or he's cutting inside and shooting and putting it over the bar. I feel like Wirtz, we've got to trust his class and we've got to trust his intelligence that he will pick those pockets and he will make those opportunities count more than somebody like a Gakpo, even though aesthetically he won't stretch a team or stretch an opposition.
Yeah.
Asim, two things here. If Luis Diaz was at the club, there's no question that Florian Wirtz in the 10 would be destructive and productive.
I get that.
Because Diaz's work rate going back, and not just running back, it's just not about fucking running back, about being in the right positions and defending well and winning every ball, and the tenaciousness that he had. Gakpo unfortunately hasn't got that. He hasn't got that, and you won't learn that either. You can try harder, but you just won't have that extra nous that Diaz had or Robbo had. So if Wirtz was in that 10, you could get away with majority of the season with a Mac and grab midfield, or a Szoboszlai and Mac and keep rotating and have Wirtz as a floater, because Diaz's work rate was sometimes the work rate of two players, right? And not only that, I tell you why at the moment, when Ben says, and reading the more, watching the game more, why Wirtz will work on the left at the moment, and you can talk about width, but Diaz was never a touchline winger either, Asim. He would never cross. He would always want to cut in. Salah, we know, likes to cut in. They're not.
He was a more
Slot wanted him to be a touchline winger, didn't he?
Diaz was the most touchline winger that we had.
He had, but you know, how many times did we see him across the ball with his left, whether it was a on the ground cross or over the or a floating cross? He hardly did that, or whip it in. He didn't whip crosses in, Diaz. He was always more cutting in. These why Diaz and Wirtz collectively they would have been, I think, sensational. But anyway, that's a non-starter because he's not at the club. This position, Wirtz on the left, if he's going to drift, you need that left CM, who is, you know, Alexis McAllister, to be very intelligent, the brain, effectively. Because any exposure on that side, if the team switches play on their right hand side, on our left, Robbo and McAllister right now, in the form that they're in, I know it's only been 2 games, are very important, because Kirkis can't do that right now. Kirkis is getting found out. He has been exposed at times. And look, he has to learn the way we play. That those 2 right now, the form that they're in, we can have Wirtz playing. And if he does get pulled to one side, which we didn't see a lot of in the Real Madrid game, we didn't see a lot of it. You've got 2 intelligent players who can either draw a foul, who can be the ankle biters. And we know Robertson and McAllister are the best at it at our club. We've seen it last season. We know Robert likes to be at the clutches of your ankle. McAllister's got that Argentinian trait in him as well.
The other thing about Wirtz, though, is that he's putting in such a shift. Like we've just saw it there against Madrid. Everyone just assumes that Szoboszlai's the workhorse, and Wirtz outran him. And it's not like Szoboszlai had an off night. It was still like 11K or something. So that's a huge weapon to have, because systematically and normally your luxury 10 is somebody who you've got to carry and you've got to sort of deal with. And he is that from a defensive perspective in terms of his physicality. But in terms of his covering positions off the ball, he's brilliant as well. He probably offers you more than Gakpo, even though he doesn't have that physical stature of Gakpo.
Asim, is it such an issue if he's creating 5 chances in the first half alone? Is that such an issue?
No, I don't think you can base it on just on one game. I don't think we replicate those.
So we need to be fair in the consistency of games then.
I'm happy to play him, I repeat, in the big games against the big opposition, where we have to tweak our thingy. Generally, they've got more stars. And then there's 2 things I want to mention. I think as good as Florian Wirtz was on Tuesday night, I think whether Real Madrid expected it, whether I think they played Goulet and Camavinga, I think all those players who had 15, 20 minute shift outside on the right hand wing, whether it's Camavinga, whether it's Goulet, whether it's Valverde starting a bit higher, they all like to be on the inside. So when Florian Wirtz was inside and when we lost the ball, they didn't have an out right wing option just to take advantage of that vacated space left by the high Robbo and the inside Florian Wirtz. But I think against a more conventional side who's got more of a threat, whether it's through their right back or the right winger, I think Liverpool will be week in, week out struggle, because that is the natural risk and reward. We talk about Salah being high and wide in the 4-2-4, risk and reward and all that trade-off. Having Florian Wirtz playing the freedom, having the freedom from the left wing option, it's also a trade-off, because the moment you lose the ball, that right side, especially because if he's coming inside, Robbo has to be 10-15 yards higher. So then you talk about the intelligence, but you don't also just need intelligence. And that's why I've always talked about, if you want that week in, week out, I know McAllister has played well. I think I'm going to come to Chris's comment because it segues into the next point that he's making, is I think you do need more legs to cover and shuttle across. And he makes a comment saying, sorry, Asim, Coutinho and Klopp played in a similar position in the first year, and he was incredible, cut anything apart. But that Klopp side had peak Robbo, and they had 3 pedestrian conservative midfielders who just bust a gut.
Not peak Robbo.
Yeah, it was. Near enough.
No, which
Near
one?
enough.
The 2017 season. 2017 season, guys.
At least in terms of legs.
Oh no, it was
Moreno. It was Moreno up until
It was
October.
Moreno.
But in terms of legs, later on. But the main
He was
thing
gone
is,
by January.
even you could have Mane coming inside. Yeah. Mane coming inside, Salah coming inside, Bobby coming into the halfway line, and Robbo going. Same principle in terms of the left winger coming inside. Not as much as Coutinho, obviously, because Mane was a lot more conventional compared to Coutinho. But in terms of the midfielders, who did you have? You had Gini Wijnaldum to shuttle across. Henderson. And then Fabinho, the Hoover. So it's a completely different midfield. We talked about how many defenders or Liverpool players want to actually defend. We don't have a natural DM, let's be honest. The only 2 players that really want to defend in this team by trade are Konate and Van Dijk. And then you probably can argue in Sobo in the number 10 position.
But this is what's really, really interesting. Sorry, Avi, this is what's really interesting in that we're talking about this is not a transitional season because we spent so much money. But in terms of what we visualize as the finished article, we can see that there definitely is still things to do in the future. But you can't buy a whole team in one summer. So it's dead interesting that you mentioned Mane before there, because you think about Mane when he first came, he was on the right, wasn't he? And he had a perfectly good season, scored that fabulous debut goal against Arsenal, and he had a great season. And you think, oh my word, we bring Salah in, what the hell are we going to do now? That doesn't work at all. Mane switched to the left, and you unlock a completely different player who become one of the world's greats. So you think to yourself, this season for Wirtz, the solution may well be on the left, even though it's not the ideal perfect solution. And then you go and get, I don't know, a Semenya in January, or you go and get a Wharton in the summer or whatever. And then that allows us to unlock Wirtz in probably what we all perceive to be his more natural position. And then you go to the next level, and you in 2 years' time, 3 years' time, you're creating near enough as close to the perfect team. But you can't have the perfect team right from the get-go. But we still got to win games, and we still got to challenge for titles now. So it's like, let's make the most of it.
Asim, would Semenyo, he's been talk of the town in the last few days, would he be a better fit in terms of he's a different player to Gakpo?
Yeah.
And you could probably then shift Wirtz in a 10. Because he'll give you the work as well, the work going backwards as well.
So it's a runner off the ball, isn't it? That's the key thing for me.
And Semenyo off the left, and then I'll put Wirtz back in the 10, and then rotate your 2 in the middle.
I don't know. Sorry to interrupt, but I never see Gakpo make blind runs. He's always he picks the ball up, and he's a carrier of the ball. You don't see him make runs off the ball at all, which really is what Wirtz wants. He wants runners, so somebody who can slide balls into. And Gakpo just doesn't. He's just not that type of player. And
you know what? You talk about Diaz going the other way. That's one thing that Diaz did that way. He stretched the opposition all the time, this way and that way.
Yeah, making runs in behind all the time. And Nunes, for all of his faults, Nunes did that all the time, didn't he? Yeah, and that's exactly what Haaland does. He's making runs all the time. And it's like, oh yeah, he gets so many chances, but he gets so many chances because he's always making runs into space, and he's that fast that he just peels away from defenders and breaks the offside trap. So yeah, I totally agree. I think Semenyo, sorry to cut in, but
No.
I think he gives you something going both ways that we don't have at the moment.
Yeah, he does. He does. And the good thing about Semenyo is he can play across the line. I don't think that Gakpo can play across the line.
Oh, yeah.
More certainly not on the right. Probably can do a job down the middle, but not great at it. Let's be honest. I know he had a bit of false nine positions when Liverpool started at the back end.
Done it for the Holland team quite well, but for Liverpool, it's different.
But again,
he's a perfect squad player.
Yeah, look. I don't need to tell you what I think about Slot. I'll be smiling, but I stand by that statement. What I said about Cody Gakpo, that he's a good player, but he's not a great player.
And we need good players in the squad. And exactly.
You need good
That's
players.
okay. We only need good players.
People will argue it, but I think Jones is a good player, but not a great player.
Hey, calm
and
down.
I agree.
I think he's proven that. And there's people who will argue, and it's a very fair point that Conor Bradley's a good player and not a great player. But the difference with Conor Bradley, I think he's still got the potential to become a great player. Whereas I feel like Gakpo, this is it. This is as good as he'll ever going to be. I don't feel like
but Ben,
he's ever going to get better.
But Ben, for me,
which is fine.
Which is fine, because if he gives me 25 GA a season, more often than not, we'll probably have a successful club and a successful season. Not just saying that he's the be-all and end-all.
This is one of the problems that, since Diaz has left,
and we're not talking about stat padding either. He's a clutch moments player. He's a very clutch moment player.
Streaky player as well.
But he scores against the big teams.
But Avi, the need for more in terms of legs and intensity and intelligence off the ball has increased. Why? It's because we've just taken out Szoboszlai out of the number 10 position for Florian Wirtz to come into that position. Because it doesn't matter what you tell me. If we thought, this is my opinion, if Florian Wirtz was the plan to be starting at left wing on paper, we would have seen it in pre-season.
Yeah.
You don't spend 160 million pounds on a player and start playing in my left wing in November. It doesn't work.
No, I agree.
Nobody can tell me that this was what we saw against Real Madrid. That was the plan in the summer.
This could be the initial integration of Wirtz. And then, look, I think as the months go on, I think next season, I think they'll look at it in the summer, to get the best out of Wirtz. And I still think off the left, he'll be devastating. Look, he is creating chances for fun.
Yeah.
Whether that's from the left, whether that's from the right, or whether that's from the 10 position, whether that's a little bit deeper, he is creating chances. But to get a productive Wirtz week in, week out, it could be that they look in the summer for a certified midfielder, a midfielder that fits the profile.
Plans do change, though, don't they? I don't think anyone in the summer thought that McAllister was going to decide that he's not a footballer for the first 3 months of the season. They probably assumed that Jeremy Frimpong would be fit as a fiddle and he'd be firing by now. And he's had 2 hamstring injuries when he hasn't had any injuries in 2 years. So things change in pre-season, in early season, in mid-season, and that's where the skill of a manager or a club
Gravenberch
to the situation. Gravenberch, yeah, absolutely, 100%. That was never the plan to say, okay, we can't get what's called Caicedo, so we'll just convert Gravenberch into a 6, and we did, and he's never looked back. So you've got to learn to adapt within a season. So I think that's fine. I think that's absolutely fine. But we got that many good players that if we can just find a system, and this is where the rhythm and the momentum comes into play, that all of a sudden this is not how we perceived it to be going. But if we all of a sudden win on Sunday, then you know what? We haven't played anywhere near our level, and yet, even if Arsenal miraculously were to drop points, then all of a sudden you go into the next international break. They've got a really tough run after the break, and then you think to yourself, we can reel them in, because they haven't got those natural winners in the team yet that we definitely have, and their arse will start to twitch.
Yeah. Total Clips, big up for your super chat. He asks Asim any truth in the Semenyo in January transfer. Look, I'll be honest, I've not heard anything in regards to the January transfer window. I repeat what I was told in the summer.
Sorry.
And I was told, and I'm not blowing my own trumpet, is people were a bit surprised when I gave that name, as in to keep an eye out on. And over the last 6 months, you've seen constant links with Semenyo, and there's been talk about of a release clause. Arsenal may be interested as well if they let go of maybe someone like Trossard or even Martinelli, maybe come the summer. But when I got told about Semenyo, I did get told that about 2 weeks after the window closed, that if we didn't get Isak, Semenyo would have been a Liverpool player. So it maybe is one of those standby options that Liverpool knew we could release, put a bid on the table. Good relations, obviously, we enjoy with Bournemouth, but our number one target was Alexander Isak. I think Liverpool's options, we've discussed it, we don't need to discuss it in length, changed the moment we had the tragic news and the tragic passing away of Jota. And then obviously we let Diaz go. You can argue Liverpool wanted the money. You could argue that Luis Diaz wanted a better deal and wanted to go. It was probably a bit of both, let's be honest. And it was good for all parties. As much as we regret to see it and him doing well for club and country, it hurts because I think he still had. I was happy for him to see out his contract because I think there was plenty of Luis Diaz left in Luis Diaz, especially when you make a lot of changes. So, but that's gone. It is what it is. But I think that interest definitely remains there. I didn't believe the narrative coming out of Liverpool of we don't want to bring in a left winger is because of we don't want to block the pathway of Rio. With all due respect, I never believed that from day one. I still think Liverpool, and the reason why we're seeing constant links with Semenyo is Liverpool definitely see that area as a area of weakness because they lack a profile of player and experience. And we talk about, and how many times we've talked about the form of Gakpo. Look, he's not been the worst player in the team, let's be honest, in all fairness. But one thing concerning me with Gakpo all the time, since Luis Diaz left and we were given that speech or narrative by Liverpool's media, is the mentality and the mindset of Cody Gakpo. You've just signed a new contract at Liverpool, but let's be honest, you don't have any competition for that area. That is massive for me. Massive. And one of the reasons why Diaz and Gakpo performed so well last season is because they knew if someone had 3 bad games, they'd be on the bench for a lot longer. Next month. And that
what's fascinating though about Semenyo is that, and we're all guilty of this, we're all snobs in the fact that all we talked about towards the back end of the window was Rodrigo or Barcola on the left. And I think we probably all getting a bit carried away with the idea, Rodrigo. Every time Semenyo was mentioned, it was like, oh, nobody wants Semenyo. He's not at our level. He's not for us. And yeah, it's been proven now. If we had Semenyo in the summer, if we'd have got him, then we might have been closer to Arsenal than what we are now for a variety of different reasons. So there's a few people saying, though, is Semenyo not a right wing? But he plays pretty much, he can play either side.
Very comfortably too.
100%.
Because I think people are thinking that he's more of a replacement for Salah long term, but I don't think it is. I think it's more of a challenge on the left. And I think that's probably why Gakpo signed that deal, because I think he thought, right, okay, we're going to tie you down. You're not going to go anywhere else, but you also need to accept that there is going to be competition and you've got a season basically to try and hold down the position. And Wirtz was never really the natural competition, but because of what's happened in midfield, of like, we need to find a position for Wirtz, and if that might end up being the default.
Yeah, 100%. Mohsin, big up. I'm not fully there yet. I want to see the adjustment slot as made versus teams that are good and going direct and on the transition. Let's go, because this is the reason why we never have an agenda. Even on the very rare occasions we have, one little super chat, one little comment, one little, I don't know, we can go from Liverpool to Semenyo to Mane, for example. And this is the reason why we always keep it natural. Wherever the conversation goes, we go. Avi, let's bring it back to Manchester City. We're going to pick the team as well. Mohsin says he's not fully convinced yet. We've talked a bit about that. Good wins against Aston Villa. Good win against Real Madrid, of course. Let's go to the team, because Robo has played the last 3 games. You've been a big supporter of Milos Kerkez. And for the last couple of weeks, correct me if I'm wrong, you have been saying that we've paid £40 million for him. He needs to be our left back. But I kind of so judging by what your comments about Robo in the earlier part of the show, it feels like even Avi has accepted that Robo needs to play. Would you play him for the fourth game in a row?
I would be starting Milos Kerkers on Sunday.
Wow.
Yeah. Look, 3 games is a lot,
Why?
for
Why?
Robbo's legs. And look, when we say Robbo's legs, he's still 31, guys. Let's just let's not forget that he's probably needed a long rest. And he's getting it now. He's in and out of the team, but in the last week we've needed him. The last week and a half, we badly needed Robbo's energy, his leadership, and it's been priceless. And obviously we've seen the results against Villa and Real Madrid. For me, though, Kerkers comes in. I tell you why, Asim. If Pep goes what he did with last Sunday, with Cherky sort of floating on that sort of right-hand side, left-hand side, Mateus Nunes at right back, I don't think Kerkers will have a bad day. Because Doku will hold that width on the left-hand side, where Bradley will have to have a top game. On that right-hand side, though, I think Kerkers will be all right. He's not coming up against a tricky winger, someone that will beat him for pace. He'll be coming across a team that likes to cut in. Foden likes to cut in. Cherky likes to cut in and get on his left foot, or even his right foot for that matter. But I think Kerkers, and he needs a big game as well. I think Kerkers will be fine against Man City. And we saw it earlier in this season. Kerkers against Arsenal. Kerkers against Arsenal was totally fine. He played a brilliant game.
Anfield's different.
It is, but I don't think we need to worry so much against City on that side.
Ben, the last 3 games, obviously I'm not counting Crystal Palace, even though I think on that day Robbo played left-sided centre-back. Left-sided centre-back, didn't he?
Yeah,
but
he did, yeah.
Intense game against Villa, intense game against Real Madrid, but we played on Tuesday, Sunday. Makes me think I want Robbo. I don't think you can take Robbo out of the game. But do you think the manager is going to go with Robbo?
So I think Kerkez is without a doubt the long term, but there is no chance on planet Earth that Robbo doesn't start on Sunday because he's 5 days rest. The team's playing well. The solidity's there. Van Dijk trusts him at the Etihad. You're playing Robertson all day long. Kerkez is not in the right mindset for this game, personally. That's just my opinion, and I think that's what the manager's opinion.
He put his body on the line. He put his bodies on the line when he came on with that 50-50 against Camavinga.
Yeah, he went flying in for a 50-50. Plumberneck, probably took his leg out the same as he did. But yeah, no, I watched him against Palace in the flesh, and he couldn't pass for shit. His head's gone at the moment, and I don't think that's anything to do with his long-term ability or his long-term position in the team, because I think we're talking before about, what's called Robertson in his prime gives you all that width. That's obviously the vision for Kerkez long-term, but I see in Kerkez at the moment the Robertson that we saw in the first 3 or 4 months when he came to Liverpool. I just like a fish out of water, and then all of a sudden it just clicked for him and he settled in, and that's fine. And you know what? Robertson's fine. Robertson's fit. He's playing well. He's fine. He'll have a rest. He'll have a big rest, hopefully, later on in the season, because Kerkez will find his feet. But this is exactly why you keep a good left back, because at this moment in time, you just play him through. You play him through, let him go on the international break, reset. He'll probably play for Scotland, and then you can start to integrate Kerkez against some of the shitty teams that will be playing after the international break.
Avi, does it depend on who Slot thinks he's going to go with on that right-hand side? If it's someone like, what's his name? Savio.
What's his name?
Savinho.
He doesn't go on the outside.
No, he's not starting.
He won't go.
If he goes with Bernardo Silva, then I'm not too worried.
I'm not worried at all.
If he goes with Savinho, I think he probably can get at Robbo.
He might go with Oscar Bob.
He won't. Oscar Bob's still So Oscar Bob hasn't been in the squad. I think even on Wednesday was he?
I thought he was bench.
He's still feeling the effects of his knee. I think it'll be Mateus Nunes right back, who's been actually brilliant for them. And then you've got either Foden, Cherky, and then you've got Bernardo Silva. He went with those 3 against Bournemouth. He went with Foden.
Nico Gonzalez will play, won't he? Surely
Yeah.
It'll be Gonzalez, Foden, and Silva in the middle. I think.
No Reinders.
No.
Oh yeah, Reinders as well. I'm not sure. He dropped Reinders.
I think Bernardo's going to play from the left.
Nico Gonzalez is
on the right. Sorry,
the pick of the midfielders. I don't think Reinders will start, Asim.
No, I think that's a shout that it might well be right.
He might want to tighten it up in that midfield area either. He is a little bit more disciplined than, say,
I think he's going to go
Is
with
Mamouche back?
Mamouche will be on the
fucking
bench. I think Doku
shit.
starts.
Doku will start on the left.
Doku starts.
They
I
have a
think
lot of
he's gonna
holes
go
in their
with-
team. They look good against the lesser teams, but against top teams, they come unstuck.
Well, the Bournemouth played into their hands last week, didn't he, with a really, really high line? But it does feel as though like the only genuine threat is Haaland, but he is some serious threat.
Why is O'Reilly going to be there right back?
Yeah, he's left back.
Yeah,
He's left back.
I
They've got eight Nori and Riley at left back, and they've got Rico Lewis and Nunez at right back, haven't they? Diaz will come back in, and Stones will probably play as well.
Yeah, I think they'll be their team will be the same as who they played against Dortmund, but the only question is who plays on that right wing. I think it'll be Nunez, Stones, Guardiola, O'Reilly, Gonzalez in the pivot, Reinders and Foden either side of him, Doku on the left. I probably think he's going to go Bernardo Silva, big
game player, isn't he?
And he'll allow Nunez maybe to bomb on a bit.
But his legs are waning as well, Bernardo Silva. But don't forget now, he's not like the rushy player that we've seen in previous seasons.
I think he'll give Savinho 30 minutes then.
Yeah. Yeah,
that makes sense.
But we've had 5 days as well. Tuesday to Sunday really gives me encouragement. I think if we'd have been going into this with only 2 or 3 days, but now it's like game before an international break, the momentum's there. It's like just one big, massive push. And as I say, and I know you'll probably all be like, but if we get a draw on Sunday, I'm absolutely fine with that. No problem with that at all. Because it keeps the momentum going, and then we'll see what happens after the international break. Chelsea and Arsenal's 3 games after the international break are Chelsea first, Bayern Munich in midweek, and the North London derby away. In that, he could
drop all the first 11 against Bayern Munich. I think they've qualified anyway. What do they need? 2 draws?
His ego will want to take them on, won't he? The best defense against the best attack. He'll want to take them on.
Just a question: did City play in the Club World Cup?
Yeah.
They did? Okay.
Got knocked out, didn't he, by El Halal in the early mid quarterfinals?
Yeah. Why?
No, just because the legs and stuff like that as well. Like, you know, teams are going to start suffering, like Real Madrid and Chelsea.
I mean, can we afford to be 9 points behind Arsenal going into the international break?
It will be new territory for Arsenal, and see if they, you know, if they drop their arse, or, you know, if the arses drop come January. Look, I've always said if we're 6 behind Arsenal, I hope we're not. I hope we're closer, but maybe in the head. Like Ben's mentioned, their game was running now over the next 2 months. But if we're within touching distance of Arsenal come January, like 5-6 points, it's game on. I'm not sure if Arsenal have got that final bit of cojones towards the end. Those last 8-9 games, City have been through it. We've done it. We've got the leaders and the experience that have done it. Have they got it? I'm not too sure.
I'm still convinced as well that the set pieces is a huge thing for them. I'm still 100% convinced that they can't rely on winning the league with set pieces. And at this moment in time, their best player, their best attacking player is Saka, and he's on 2 goals. And Salah's had a shit season, and he's on 4. And it's like our output and our goal output is vastly superior. Gyökeres is out at the moment. I think he's on 4 goals. The defense is world class without a shadow of a doubt. But I just feel as though the days where they need to get to score a goal and they're not getting them from set pieces, I just think you need someone to be able to score the goals. And I don't remember the last team that won a league by set pieces. Like even Chelsea with the fabulous defense that they had, they still had Robin and Drogba and Lampard who could always get you a goal at any point in time. I just don't see that with Arsenal. I think we can reel them in. I really do.
But Asim, Sunday for me, and Ben obviously feels a draw is fine. For me, it's a must-win. It's a must-win because if you win on Sunday, then Arsenal will be looking over their shoulder and say, "Shit, these fuckers are back." Yeah, and it puts that added pressure. They win, and look, I actually believe that tomorrow at the Stadium of Light, I think Sunderland will get a result. I genuinely think Sunderland will get a result. I'm very impressed with their manager. I think they've got some very good players that will trouble Arsenal. and that those fans at Stadium of Light, those Sunderland fans, they're passionate as anything. I think that will be a tricky game tomorrow for a few individuals in that Arsenal team. Say
half 12?
Say they draw. No, half 12 with Spurs and United.
Yeah. The other interesting thing as well about Sunday is that, like, I think they'll go to win it. They will go to win it because if you get beat, it sort of doesn't really matter, because if we're not in the title race, then we're not in the title race. But I think we'll get into top four, no problem, because I just think the way that the Premier League is, everybody beats everyone, and we can get onto a run with our firepower and our players. We'll get top four, no problem. But if we really want to still attack the league, we'll try and go and win on Sunday, because a draw really doesn't do anyone any favors. But if we lose, as I say, it doesn't really make that much difference anyway, because we'll be 9 points behind regardless.
If we win on Sunday, I think we go on a Jurgen Klopp kind of run. We didn't do it under Slot. I don't think we won 8-9 in a row in the Premier League.
At the start, we must have.
No, we did 5, and then we lost to Forest, didn't we? And then we won 3 again, then drew, then won 3
and we
again,
went like unbeaten in 19 or something like that.
We never did like a 8-9 game stretch where we won 8-9. I think that kind of run.
Nobody did, funnily enough, last season. That was the really interesting stat. Well, nobody won more than 5 games in a row.
I think if we beat City, that would be 2 games. I think we could go on another 5-6 winning game run. And I think then we're in and amongst it, to be honest.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
So, Bradley...
We're picking the team?
We're picking the team. Bradley, Robbo.
We're picking what Slot is going to go with.
I think he's going to go with Robbo. Centre-back picks themselves. The keeper picks...
Kirkes is starting on Sunday.
You on Kirkes?
Kirkes is starting on Sunday.
I'm going Robbo.
There's your clip. There's your clip for Sunday.
Haven't been wrong so far.
I'd be staggered if he starts him on Sunday. I just don't see the logic. I don't see the need to put the pressure on. His best game of the season was against Arsenal. Is it just a pace thing for you, Avi, with Kirkes on Sunday, or is it because you're just desperate to get him back in the team?
bit of both. But no. To be honest, Sidhi, to be honest, every time I've been adamant on someone starting, they've started. I think Kirkes will get the nod.
You know what else is really interesting? Last year, when we went to City, Slot showed a real touch of genius to a certain degree, where he was like, I need to go and get a result here, and I'm happy to concede the ball when it's not really his natural thing at all. So the way Bournemouth played a really high line last week, and it was almost suicide. I think people are thinking, Liverpool are going to come and play, bit of swagger, we're going to have a high line. I don't think we will. I think we will try and play.
Wait a minute. I think both teams, I think Guardiola talked about it. Arsenal do it a bit. Liverpool did it. It's this none of this mid-block stuff. It's either aggressive press or just completely set off. I think you see both teams do it on Sunday.
Setting off.
Yeah.
Right. That'll be fun. The midfield will be empty.
There'll be a few jabs thrown.
It'll be really compact, but 5-10 yards, especially when you've got someone like Haaland. You cannot give him 10-15 yards of space to run into.
No.
But it's the balance, isn't it? It's the balance, because when you start setting off,
got to be a threat.
It's all about your distances and your threat as well. So it's going to be a fascinating game. But I think both teams have got structural deficiencies, and that's probably the reason why that they have to just sit off and defend their box. And I don't mind Liverpool doing that. I think Liverpool have got 2 aerial duelers in Van Dijk and Kanate, who are really good box defenders as well. But it's all about that. Like you said, you have to carry a threat. And I think we will. We've got, especially, I think Wirtz is going to play, is Liverpool will try to control the game by keeping the ball. But they've got good players as well. And last season, they are going to try to do what they tried to do last season and give the ball to Doku and try to make him run as much as he can against Conor Bradley. And although he got into so many opportunities and so many moments last season, his end product let him down, and we just cut out that ball. But slowly but surely, and he talks about it himself as well, including the manager, that they are trying to improve. If Doku can improve, it's probably easier said than done. If he can improve that final ball or that final pass into the box, then he'll be a different player. You saw bits of it in that first ball he played for Haaland in the Dortmund game, but we just need to stop that ball going to Doku and then stop the ball going to Haaland. But I think it's going to be a high scoring game. But let's stick with our predictions in terms of personnel. Avi, I think he's going to go with Wirtz again. Do you agree?
Yep, I agree.
Ben, you obviously agree as well, yeah?
Yeah, same team. I think it'll be
same team. Avi, you just go the Kirk has changed. Yeah?
Kirk has changed.
That's it.
What about you, Asim?
I agree with you. I think it'll be Robbo on Wirtz.
Same team.
Yeah. Is there a case for Curtis Jones?
I was about to ask you the same question. There might be a case of Jones instead of, but then who do you drop, Mac? You don't drop him after an assist and a goal against Real Madrid and then get
I get it.
Is there another curveball, another tiny curveball where he does bring Gakpo back in, but not for Wirtz, but for Ekitike and plays a double 10?
No, that's what I think he's going to be. If he doesn't, are you saying if Wirtz plays, he'll play a double 10?
Yeah, I'm just saying, is there a curveball where he actually does bring Gakpo back in, but he doesn't bring him back in for Wirtz? He brings him in for Ekitike, and Gakpo plays left, Salah right, and then you play a double 10.
I think if Ekitike wasn't neat and tidy, there was a case for it. But because Ekitike is so comfortable being the double 10, if you like, and if Wirtz or Gakpo is holding width, and you need the striker to come into that space, I think he touched on it. I didn't watch all the presser, but I saw some quotations from the manager, and he was talking about Isak being more of a number 9. He stretches the opposition, but Ekitike is a lot more comfortable coming to feet. And when you see that as well on the pitch, that's what I'm talking about. He's a lot more comfortable in Ekitike coming and being that facilitator and completing the box if he needs to, and naturally roaming. So if Ekitike, 1, wasn't playing well enough, 2, if he wasn't so comfortable in doing it, then I think it would be an option. But I think Ekitike is such a good option doing it anyway. From the 9 position.
He does like to drop. He does like to drop back to Ekitike to pick up the ball from deep. He can provide himself as an extra showing, extra body, shall I say? And we saw it against Real Madrid as well. He likes picking up the ball and using those sort of spaces. And sometimes you see him in line with the midfield area too.
Good to see.
Is there any is there any concern about Ekitike's fitness with two big games in 5 days? Because that's still something that he is adjusting to as well, isn't it?
Gakpo only
played the last 5 minutes.
He'll fancy it. He'll fancy it. He's one of those he's one of those players like I think
backs himself.
You put anything in front of him.
Yeah,
he's not.
Just and I don't think he lets his confidence team again as well, hasn't he?
I don't unlike with Nunes where he would let his confidence drop. I don't think with Ekitike you see that.
Yeah, I think what will happen is because Ekitike is so comfortable and he touched on it as well. The manager said, "Look, I think he can play on paper on the left wing." I'm probably still not there. I want to see it. Probably because he's only been there on paper 3% of his career, but he's so young. He can develop and mature into that role and learn that role. But I think because of Wirtz and what you talk about being in the false line and coming inside naturally from the touchline, and then Ekitike is so comfortable going on outside and coming from that left wing position, I think the natural fluidity, Ben, you'll see it anyway, is because those two footballers are so comfortable in playing from central positions and interchanging. So I think Ekitike and Wirtz and Salah starting, obviously without Salah, because we know what he does anyway, but especially with them two, you'll see that natural fluidity where they're just interchanging positions. And well, that's what you need to do, whether it's on the big day or whether you're playing, Sunderland at home.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we've been. That's everything. Ben, what
predictions? Goal scorers.
Well, you're going for a draw. We know what your prediction is. You're going for a draw, aren't you?
I'd take a draw. I would take a draw, and I would still take a draw, but that's not what I think it will be.
I would not take a draw. I'm sorry, Ben. I'm with Avi that if we win, it won't be just a statement. I think it'll be a super statement.
I do as well. I think Arsenal shit the pants if we win.
I agree. But that's why we need to go for the. Obviously, we're going to suffer in the game for 15,
Yeah,
20,
we are,
30 minutes. We suffered last season when we won the league, and we'll suffer because City are better. City, I think, are better than what the City we faced last year, and we're not as good. So
Yeah.
This is the game.
But
Yeah.
but are we more of a threat?
Cast
on
your
set
minds
pieces
back,
as well?
boys. Cast your minds back to when Bobby Firmino actually came on the scene. It was against City away at the Etihad in that
I know
4-1
exactly the
victory.
game.
The Skirtle volley, Firmino finally gets off and during Brendan that season, he was getting floated all over the shop until
Who
Klopp
did the
came
back
in.
heel for the second goal, Avi?
It was Chan.
Emre Can.
Emre Can,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well done, yeah.
And
well done.
tomorrow on Sunday,
Avi's got a really good memory, man.
Sunday will be Wirtz's moment where he finally gets off the duck and he will
We've been
score.
saying this bloody every week.
3-1. 3-1, Asim. 3-1 Liverpool.
3-1. Who's the scorers?
I'm going 3-2.
No, we won't concede 2. And day 1 will be a consolation fucking goal too. Bastards.
This is my prediction on Sunday.
Salah.
3-2 Liverpool, yeah.
3-2 Liverpool.
Salah scoring. Wirtz will score. And I fancy Mac again for some reason.
Really?
Yeah, I fancy Mac.
I'm going to say Wirtz as well. I'm going to say Szoboszlai. And I'm going to say Isak off the bench.
Go on, Benny.
Anjay, yes, man. Yes, man. I like that.
What a day that would be.
I'm going 3-2. I think we concede. Haaland, I think, will get one. But Muhammad will obviously score. You always back Muhammad. I fancy Ekitike getting one. I fancy Ekitike.
He's due one. He's due one.
100%. And I think Gakpo gets one off the bench.
Wow.
Gakpo off the bench. That's a shout as well.
I think
Exciting times.
Oh, and guys, breaking news. Breaking news, guys.
Bomber.
Go on, give us a bomber, man. It's been a while, Larry. It's
It's
been a while. Come on.
I can
Like and subscribe, people. Like and
I
subscribe.
can confirm
Oh,
Gino will be back.
on
We'll
Sunday.
be back on Sunday. That's the bomber. Gina, Matt Jones will be back on Sunday.
Watch along party on Sunday, Avi. Asim.
You know what, Ben? Go on our YouTube. The 2:45 show is already up, and the watch along is already up.
Honestly, it's as if we planned this.
Is
Well,
it already
sadly,
up, my friend?
It is indeed, yeah. We've got Matt McAllister giving it the big shush with the 2:45 team news, and then a big old Ekitike, Haaland, Sheena, and Asim watch along party.
Look who's in the look who's in the thingy, Angie. Back-to-back wins and clean sheets. Let's do it again on Sunday. P.S. Asim, your tash
Guys,
is on
I
point.
actually have.
Can you give us a lesson in? You know what? I just went for a trim.
Bashi, get out of it. Get him out of it.
Bashi, this is the problem. Abi does it at home. He tries to save a fiver. The tight
Guys, they're not breaking news, but there is some news. In a stunning act of kindness that Liverpool officials kept tightly under wraps, Argentinian midfielder Alexis McAllister has secretly cleared £654,000 in outstanding school lunch debt across 85 schools in Merseyside. For months, teachers had reported that some children were quietly skipping lunch, pretending they weren't hungry, simply because their accounts were in the red. That's breaking news, guys.
That's amazing. Where have you read that, Avi?
Andy Heaton has just put that on.
From the Anfield Wrap?
Yeah.
Avi,
that's amazing.
I want to give you your flowers. You mentioned a player. I was going to mention this when Gina was back, but you know what? I had permission earlier. You mentioned this player. Liverpool are seriously looking at him. I've had it confirmed. And you mentioned him. So big up to you. Ayub Bouadi.
Yeah, of Lille, yeah. I've mentioned him very early on.
Liverpool are really keen on him. Really keen.
Thing is, though, now that means though that Avi gave me my flowers, and Asim's give Avi his flowers. Don't we have to find some flowers to give to Asim now?
Listen, it's
But
end of
I haven't got no flowers. I haven't got no flowers.
You
for
don't
Asim.
need to give me my
this
flowers.
little smizer, right? It's end of year talks, so obviously my contract is coming up with BNR. He just wants to renew it. He just wants to keep me sweet. So don't worry. But
Another 1 year extension.
Well, Andy's right. Andy's right. The whole of Europe is looking at him.
I can tell you that we have heavily scouted him last season. Ayub Buadi, he's a very technical midfielder. I tell you something else as well, Asim, and I've mentioned him in the summer. Keep an eye on Ekaluche to Liverpool as a potential Salah replacement. If we don't get Olise, Ekaluche is the one that we've definitely
Olise, I think is the number. And there's been a bit of talk about Semenyo being the Salah replacement. I don't think there's anything in regards to Semenyo being the Salah replacement. Semenyo is a separate case for Liverpool. Olise is a massive separate case for Liverpool.
Yeah. And you know what? With Newcastle and Isak, you've got to remember Isak is a world-class player, but he got the best out of him by having pacey wingers who whip the ball into him early, who feed him. And that's so you need that profile to get the most out of him. And to me, Semenyo and Olise would be ideal for that. Absolutely ideal for that. Definitely.
Is this a hybrid of Nelson Mandela and Naby Keita?
You know, he's actually a Guinean defensive midfielder for Parma. And the reason I've watched him because I was watching Leone. This kid, I think he's 24, 25 maybe.
What is he?
Defensive. He's a 6. But he's also Guinean, like our
is he
Naby Keita was. 6 foot, yeah. He's a bit of a brick. Like he's big.
He's a
tidy, very tidy as well.
Worth checking out, Avi?
Yeah, 100%. But listen, Keita and that name for me, it's traumatic because
you know what?
Before
we go, I know we made this into a transfer.
You know what Naby's greatest moment was as a Liverpool player?
I think it
was
the United game at Old Trafford.
Ben, it was nothing what he did actually. It was actually his reaction. So we played, you know, that season where Klopp had totally it was shit. Not the COVID one, the one after
after 2021, 22.
The double. That season of 22-23, we thought we had won a penalty against Chelsea. And you should have seen Naby's reaction. He thought we had won the penalty, and his reaction was priceless. And it was never a penalty. It was never a penalty. And then it got overturned. He's trying to fight the referee. That was his greatest ever moment because I made actually a meme about it. A GIF. You call it a GIF or GIF? GIF. I made a GIF on it, and I'll send it to you, Ben. It was just hilarious the way it sort of transpired.
I want to ask you guys because you mentioned Adam Wharton earlier on in the show, and I was just about to interject. But you were in full flow, Avi. Every time I've asked about Adam Wharton to people close to the club, Elliot Anderson gets mentioned.
Top player.
Yeah.
That Liverpool like him. And he's not. Adam Wharton is liked, monitored, all those buzzwords that you get. But Elliot Anderson's name keeps popping up, Avi. But again, there's many clubs, especially in the Premier League, that are looking at Elliot Anderson. But your thoughts on him as a player?
So Newcastle, I think they had to get rid of him because of PSR. I think he's the wrong player that they got rid of.
Yeah.
Because I put him as good as like a Bruno Guimaraes. He's got a bit of everything in him, Asim. He's excelled at Nottingham Forest. Maybe the system from Nuno to from Nuno basically, because we know the other managers that have come and haven't done anything of much. But Elliot Anderson, he's a top player. He's got a bit of robustness. He's got a bit of robustness in him as well.
The problem with Anderson, though, is that he's going to start in the World Cup, so he'll end up being over £100 million in the summer. That's the problem.
Unless you can get like a agreement before a World Cup, which is very hard, which is not likely because Forest.
I think Man United is a club that gets mentioned. Man United is a club that is looking at Elliot Anderson. Obviously, they had the interest in Baleba. I think Man United's next signing is going to be one of, like a midfielder who has got legs. But Elliot Anderson is his reputation in the Premier League is growing.
Yeah.
I think
Should we do that other little feature to finish where we say if you could pick one player on Sunday to be to play a 10, who would you pick?
One player to what? To like excel.
One player to have his best to play to his best. Who would you choose?
What?
Me personally, I would pick Van Dijk because that would mean that he would deal with Haaland.
But he's always dealt with Haaland very well, though.
He has, but I just feel if we can shut Haaland down, then we'll find a way to win.
Right. As of now, I think it's more Haaland's got this mental block that he can't get the better of. I think the only time I know he scored against Etihad that scruff finish, but I think at Salzburg he got that goal at Anfield or two, which was like little tap-ins. But apart from that, Van Dijk hasn't given him that much.
I feel like one of our forwards could play a 10, score 2 goals, but we could still lose because Haaland is capable of anything. So I feel like if we can, I don't think we will, but if we can keep a clean sheet, we'll win. And that's the logic behind that. But what do you guys think?
I get what I think. There's a few answers. Wirtz, Van Dijk. I think. Look, it might be a boring answer, but 9 out of 10 times when the king has a good game, we win the game.
Yeah. It'd be lovely for Connor to replicate his performance, wouldn't it, against Doku? Yeah. Then that we might get a tiny bit of respect from Asim then.
Asim, before we leave.
Oh God, Naby. Bomba? Where's that orange device? Back in the cupboard?
He's got about 10 burners out here.
You know what? He actually has got an orange device because he just upgraded to the new iPhone. So
to the new iPhone. There it is.
It's the orange.
That little cube is good as well. That little cube.
Oh man, I love him, man. He's a gadget king. Can't beat a gadget king.
Go on, Naby.
I think you actually mentioned the player on your Twitter, but I think Jeremy Jacquet, not French international, but French centre back, 20. I think he'll be a Liverpool player next summer.
Wow, there we are. You're telling me we don't give you bombers? Look at that.
Jeremy Jacquet.
He's definitely another
You
player.
might want to watch a lot of him. He plays for Rennes.
He's definitely.
And we know the school of Rennes as well. Ousmane Dembele, Amin Guri, I think originally came from. Amin Guri, Nice.
So there you go.
Right,
we've all got our flowers, Ben.
Which is is it Rennes that we're looking at to as our second club? FSG are looking at which French club are they looking at?
It was Bordeaux before they went bust. I don't know.
Yeah, and then Getafe, was it?
Spain, yeah, Getafe, Spain.
Yeah, Getafe, yeah. Interesting stuff. Right, are we done, guys? Can I go to bed?
Jeremy Jacquet's agent.
Okay.
Jeremy Jacquet's agent was at Liverpool on Wednesday, by the way.
Interesting.
Whose agent? Whose agent was it?
It may be Camavinga's agent.
Jeremy Jacquet.
Jeremy Jacquet's agent were at the game on Wednesday.
Wow.
Tuesday.
Wow.
Oh, I want to win so badly on Sunday now.
Tika.
Honestly.
Anyway, I think that's enough, man. See what I mean? Bomber.
What time is it on for you on Sunday, Avi?
What time is it in England? 4:30
on Sunday.
What time is it for you guys on Sunday?
For you, sorry, yeah. What time will it be for you?
No, I don't even know what time it is in England. The game.
Oh yeah, it's 4:30 kickoff. Yeah, Sunday. Yeah.
8:30. Brilliant.
Oh, that's nice. Nice bit of breakfast.
Sausage, bacon, and egg sarnie. Brown sauce, HP. Job done.
Slot in is asking about Semenyo. Slot. I was just about to say slot. If you just go rewind back, we talk about Semenyo.
Asim super chats all done.
Super chat. I think it's all super chats done. Yeah.
Done.
Brilliant show. Really enjoyed that. Achin is back on Sunday, people. We're gonna.
We're not. We're all having a break.
There might be a show, but I'm traveling down to London tomorrow, so I don't think I'll be back until really, really late in the morning, Sunday morning. And then we're gonna go do the team news at 2:45 on Sunday afternoon. Then we're back live for the watch along at 4 o'clock. With Sheen is back for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, Sheen's doing the next 28 shows.
He's gonna be busy.
Sheen can host
all those guys.
Sheen can host on Sunday. Let him host on Sunday.
He's hosting the next 20 shows on his own, Naby. That's all
And
he's
he
doing.
can do this as well.
He'll be doing that on Sunday afternoon. So everyone's been missing Gene. Make sure you come and you show your love for us, and more importantly, Gene on Sunday. Anyway, that's
Over and out,
what's
guys.
happening on Sunday, and we'll be back for the squad on Sunday night, guys, 9:30.
That would be
Not
our
for
first
me.
match.
I am abroad.
Ooh.
I'm abroad this weekend.
Scouting?
No, not quite. Diplomatic mission over the weekend. Yeah, just a quick in and out to Spain and back for a family issue. But yeah, I
Nice.
will be back next week.
Brilliant. Avi, are you available?
Sunday and Monday, I believe we'll be going live on Monday. Afterthoughts. Monday's afterthoughts. There you go.
If we win on Sunday, we're doing a show every day next week.
100%. International week as well, so maybe we can do a bit of Q&As and a bit of fun stuff as well.
Yeah, we'll do a little build up as well in the second week, won't we? We missed it last month because we were all depressed about how shit we were.
Okay, people, thanks for watching. Thank you so much. Like and subscribe and let us know what all your thoughts are. We picked the team. We talked about transfers. We talked about Jack Kane, everything. Avi, honestly, the ITK game, as someone said in the chat, will never leave you, even if Avi wants to leave the ITK game. Until the next show, have a good one, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now.